Okay, so I think maybe we should start. So first of all, thank you all for joining us Friday noontime, and thank you, Ori, that I have the pleasure of hosting you today here. Ori is an Israeli artist living in New York and has been practicing Shiatsu for way too many years than I think he would like
Yes.
us to admit. And he will tell us more about Shiatsu and his background in Shiatsu. He lives in New York. And I think from our perspective as a community of cancer patients, we all know the relationship between the body, the mind, and our fighting this disease and our journey for cure. And sometimes we beat our body hearts, whether the cancer from within or the drugs that we're using to fight it. And we need to find balance physically and mentally so we will have the strength to continue with this fight. And so thank you, Ori, for joining us this afternoon and sharing with us and coaching us and guiding us as to how we how we give our body what it needed to be strong enough to help us continue fight it and then drive through towards health, which is what we all want
Yeah.
and need.
So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for this introduction. Yes, I'm sure you're all having your battles and your fights, and it has a lot to do with your body, of course, physically, and how it is affecting mentally and emotionally. And in addition to that, we are dealing with a pandemic that I'm sure is not adding to our state of health and stress and balance. It's making everything more shaken. We're dealing with a lot of unknown and a lot of like added anxiety. And Shiatsu is a Japanese technique that really deals with how to find a sense of balance in the body, and it really deals with the energy of the body. So I come from a background of being a dancer, and I used to get a lot of massage and body work. And then I had a friend who was practicing Shiatsu, and she asked me if I would volunteer my body to practice, and of course I said yes. And it was really such a different experience than getting a regular massage, because it wasn't just working specifically like on the muscle or the muscle tissue, but how I just felt my whole body. And I remember like the next day I was just smiling. So it really has a more holistic approach to, yes, we are working on the body. So we are touching muscles and skin, but it's also releasing tension that relates to aspects that are emotional, that are psychological, and it really gives a much better way to feel grounded, to feel supported. So in Shiatsu, and just like other Eastern philosophy, it comes from the point of maintaining the body in a state of healing, like always looking for balance. And in our daily life, we go through different motions where we go, I don't want to say out of balance, but we feel a little off balance or out of balance. And that's just like the natural course of our life, right? And so we kind of strive to find a sense of balance. And sometimes people just ask, well, what does that mean to feel balanced? And, you know, if you just really think about the scale, you know, the old fashioned scale, right? The balance is when it's just, you know, it's still in movement, but it's just hanging and nothing is collapsing or nothing is breaking. So you just have the right, you know, amount of weight on each side. So when things go out of balance is when there's like a lot of weight or a lot of, so all of a sudden we deal with more stress or more pain or different sicknesses, and we kind of strive to find the balance. And in Shiatsu, by contacting the body, there's few techniques that we work. One is by pressing the body, pressing on points of the body. There are channels of energy that are going through our body, and those channels are called Meridian. So we can contact the body and press on those points. And also we can do some stretching, and also we can do some movement that helps release. So I will talk a little bit more about the energy and movement, and then I will guide people through some techniques that we can do to ourselves. So generally, Shiatsu is a bodywork technique that I do give treatments to people. And I have recently started to treat people again. Just that during the very beginning of the pandemic, when we were all at home, first of all, I was really missing touch and really even, you know, even a hug. and then I just found myself that I kind of started to do the massage on myself just to relieve this kind of anxiety and this feeling that I was stressed. And that's what led me to start these workshops where I can guide people in how do we make contact ourselves on our body and it can still be effective. So yeah, normally you would be laying down like on a table or a floor or bed, and the person gives you the session. That's usually how it happens. But in this case, I did find that these tools can also be really helpful. So one thing is, you know, if you think about when you're getting a massage, you're really relaxed. So the point is for all of us to while we're doing maybe some work, to stay relaxed, and I will guide you with that. And I want you to be comfortable. So we're not doing anything that is super complicated, but whatever I guide you through, make sure you're comfortable. If there's something that you prefer not to do, if you're preferring to have some of you have your screen already shut and not be seen to be more comfortable, that's totally fine. So really, it's important for me that you'll be comfortable. So if we think about energy, and not like electricity, but just like the energy that in yoga they call it prana, and in like Tai Chi they call it chi or ki. In the Eastern philosophy, they relate to the essence, the life essence energy. Like the energy, what is the energy that makes now all of a sudden the temperature drops and we're moving to fall? There's a certain global energy that the earth is rotating, that the trees are growing, the water is moving. And the same with our body, like how things evolve in our body. There's this life energy. And energy, the essence of energy is really movement, is to always be in movement. If you think about water in the river, right? The water is moving. If you think about water that are stuck, like in a puddle, or if your sink is clogged, right? That water will start to get dirty, or in the puddle, it will start to collect bacteria. That's not the healthy water that you want to drink, right? We always want to drink the spring water, right? The water that is moving. So movement, when energy is moving, that's when it's more of a healthy state. And when things starts to feel stuck, and that's where there start to be an imbalance in energy, is when things get stuck and the energy gets blocked and the movement gets interrupted. It could either stop, or it could also overflow. Right? If you're thinking about a flood, that's like an excess of energy that can also create some imbalance and destruction. Or if there's lack of water. So if we take that example, it brings us to think about two qualities of imbalance. Right? One is lack. So you can think about it like when you're tired. Or where you feel like there's less energy, and the other one is excess, when there's a lot of energy. So you know, sometimes like if somebody gets really angry and they're angry all the time, right? That's also an imbalance of energy, but that's like way over. And it's not that you are not allowed to be angry or we can't express anger, but when it's too much, then it goes out of balance. So if you're thinking about the river here in the center with the water moving, so we can think about the excess of energy kind of being up, and the lack of energy when we feel really depleted or tired, or like, you know, in California, they're experiencing the drought. So there's no water, or there's no flow of water, and that creates other effects like the fires that are experiencing now. So imbalances for the long run can create more problems. And then we strive to kind of bring ourselves to that middle line, that we think about the middle line as our state of balance, when we feel like we're at that point where the scale is moving just the right amount of movement. So feeling that our body is in movement is essential. And I also feel that now in the pandemic, you know, it kind of stopped a lot of our energy. Like we're not moving as much, like especially in the beginning, we were very, you know, stuck at home. And how does it make our body feel a little bit more constrained and stuck? So I want to start with just something very simple that I call it kind of a brushing technique. And it's a way to just kind of through contacting the skin to create kind of movement and flow of energy. So you can sit comfortable, and even if you are in a bed, I'll just lower and come back a little bit in the, and we're just gonna take our hands first and just kind of brush the back of the head. And from the base of the neck and kind of up to the head. Good. And then we're just gonna bring the hands to the front, to the shoulders, and kind of give a little brush from the collarbones and the sternum out through the shoulders. Nice. And then you're gonna take one hand, I'll mirror you. So why don't you take the right hand to the left. And again, you're just gonna brush from the shoulder and down around the arm, the front of the arm, and then the back of the arm and the palm. Good. Nice. And if you can reach behind the shoulder, wherever you can reach, that's great. Good. And then you're just gonna hold the hand with your right hand, you're gonna hold the palm and just give it a little easy shake. Good. And then just from that, I want you to just drop your arms if you can, or relax the arms if you're laying down. And notice the sensation in the left arm, the one that we brushed in comparison to the right. You might feel that it's a little bit more open or extended, right? So we just kind of opened a little bit the energy to let it flow again. So let's move to the other side to even it out and kind of brush into the shoulder and the upper arm and the forearm. Good. And the palm and fingers. Good. And holding the hand and giving it a little shake. Nice. Good. And then let's release the right arm as well. And take a moment again just to sit and just notice that from that brushing, I feel more open in my chest. Maybe it's affecting how you're breathing. And just be really comfortable. And let's just take a moment to close our eyes and just sense our breath, right? So breath is movement. Breath moves in and out of our body. Breath is energy. And when we exhale, we kind of let go of energy or breath that is not needed anymore. And when we inhale, we invite new, fresh breath, new, fresh energy into our body. And just while sensing your breathing, nice, smooth breath, just notice how you feel today. And if there's anything that comes up to your mind, just kind of like a observation, let that kind of show up in your mind. Maybe today something is hurting more, or today something is annoying more, or somebody said something to you that upset you. And again, don't try to think what to do with that information, but just notice if something comes up. And just look at it like, oh, okay, this is what it is today. And take a deep breath. And maybe whatever, maybe the form you see it as a sign or a light or a writing, just kind of let it fade away. Good. And let's open the eyes again. Nice. And just continue with the brushing. So just wherever you can reach on your back, if you can brush down towards your pelvis. Good. And we're gonna add a little brushing to the legs. So just kind of brushing our thighs and inner thighs and outside of the legs, the side of the leg. And if you can lift the leg and just brush down. Good. And the other leg And maybe you can reach to your foot. Good. Nice. Yeah, it's a little bit like cleaning, like when we take the Windex and we kind of brush and clean and the result is nice and shiny. So come back to sit and just feel the sensation also in the legs. If you feel a little bit more movement of energy or a little bit more just open, just from this very, very simple activity. All right, what we'll do is also, if anybody has a very important question of something that I say, but also I'll leave some room for some time for questions in the end. I would love to hear also your feedback or some thoughts. So in Shiatsu, the energy is experienced in different qualities, and there are channels of energies that go through our bodies, and those channels are called meridians, if anybody ever heard that name. So there are 12 meridians that go through our body, and they are named after our organs. So for example, here in the side of the arm, it's the lung meridian. So the lung meridian, we just experienced our breath, relates to breath, but in the Shiatsu philosophy, it also relates not just to the function of the organ, but also to other functions of the of what the meridian represents. So for example, if you're thinking about lungs, if you're thinking about breath, so it's really when we breathe, when we inhale, it's what we kind of take from the environment and bring it in. And then when we exhale, we let go and we let something out. So in the meridian philosophy, the meridians relate to a sense of smell, taste, to a time of the year, to a season. So right now we're entering the time of the lung, which is the time of the metal element. So if you're thinking about exhaling, it's letting go. If you're thinking about, the trees are getting ready to drop their leaves and to let go. So the emotion that is associated with that is grief, right? There's the sense of letting go. And I feel also now during the pandemic, we had to deal a lot with letting go of, I had so much plans this summer. I was supposed to travel and I was like, oh, I didn't get to do my plans. And at some point you have to practice just letting go. So that, again, if we experience sometimes where we can't let go, right? We're holding into something that's kind of stopping the energy, that's holding from that, the energy to move. And it's a natural process. And then we go through letting go and we can let the balance come back. So I'm gonna guide you now through a little bit of touch through the lung meridian. And the lung meridian, if you take your index finger, let's start with the right hand and go to the left side, and you poke right below the tip of the shoulder here, and you can feel this kind of indentation. And that's how we find most of the contact into the meridian, that you feel that your fingers kind of sink in. And an example is how we want to touch the meridians is like, if you look at this pillow, right, you kind of want to go right in. So we don't in Shiatsu like massage, we don't kind of rub around or squeeze, but we go right into the point. And that way, if there is a certain sense of stagnation or stress, like through that point, through pressing directly into the point, it kind of releases a little bit of the stress and start to promote the flow of energy. So you can think about it a little bit like if your sink is clogged, right? You reach right to the center of the sink to take the plug out, right? And then the water can drain. So that's kind of like what we're doing. So we're going to reach to that point here at the tip and just kind of press a little bit into it, like a little bit of poking into it. And keep this arm as relaxed as you can. You can use your thumbs or your fingers. And then we're going to continue to trace the meridian. So this meridian goes alongside the arm, and it goes on this thumb side of the arm. So what we do is, again, we kind of find those little points, just like with the pillow, and you'll see that kind of naturally your finger kind of sinks in. So it's not on a bony part. So this is right on top of my bicep. And I'm holding my arm up to help you see. But if you want to just rest the arm and on your lap or on a pillow, that could be good too. So what we do is we continue to go through the side of the arm on the thumb side. And again, you can start from pressing here and going down on the thumb side of the arm and all the way to the thumb. And we're just going to go a few times. Good. Yeah. So now we're going to rotate the arm. Somehow I'm not getting the camera right today. In and go right into the space between the index finger and the thumb. And if you think about it as a V, we go right below. You can also make a fist, and that point kind of pops up like a little dimple. And then you kind of press inside that. So you might feel that it's a little tender, and that's a good point for general pain. Everybody okay with that? I assume we are. Yes. And now, just as we went on the thumb side, on the inner arm, we're going to reverse that going back and go on the outside of the arm and press a little bit. So this is our large intestine meridian. And if you think also about letting go, right? The large intestine is where we kind of let go of our garbage of the body. So it can also relate to issues of constipation or diarrhea, right? And we were talking before, and then you can continue to go up on the thumb side again of the outer arm and press a little bit with the fingers. So if we're talking about the imbalance, right? The excess, like the over reacting of letting go is, for example, is people who just constantly let go, like people who give their stuff away, or if you have diarrhea, that's like overreacting, as opposed to, for example, if we can't let go, then we're holding into it. So that's the opposite side of the two imbalances. And then we go again. Good. And we're going to trace and go up the side of the neck here and all the way towards the nose. And there's a nice point here. This is the last point on the large intestine meridian, right below the nose. It's like a little dimple here, and you can press into that. This is a really good point, right? So letting go, we can also think about where we breathe, the nose. So the nose is related to the lungs and the large intestine. And this point is really good for sinus issues, or if you have a cold, you can press into that. Good. And then let's release. And I want you to take again a moment and feel how that arm that we touched and that we poked a little bit, do you feel maybe a sensation of movement differently, of energy? Maybe it feels more open. I hope so. So good. So let's take it to the other side. So we're going to start by finding that lung 1 point. So right at the tip of the shoulder, if you go on the diagonal and you kind of go right here, and you see how I can really press in just like in that pillow. Yeah. So really poking that. And really our lungs kind of get attached all the way up here. So when we take a deep breath, we can think about really expanding. A lot of times we just breathe more shallow. Good. So kind of poking that point. Excellent. And then we're going to continue on the thumb side. So it's the thumb side of the inner arm, and I'm pressing. And again, feel free to just like rest your palm, your arm on the floor. And as you press, really, it doesn't really have to be very strong. It doesn't have to be like an effort, like really hard, but you can feel it. You can feel the sensation, kind of just like poking. Yes, nice. Going to the thumb, and then we do it usually 2 or 3 times. Good. And again. Nice. And then we're going to reverse that. So you're going to rotate the arm in, again, finding that point here on the large intestine, that tender point. So easy to see, kind of imagine the V, and right above the bone. Also, if you make the fist, it's right here. You can press right into that. Nice. And then with the arm rotated, again, feel free to rest it. I'm holding it up so you can see. So I'm going on the, again, the thumb side. So it's the outer arm. And you feel, again, this kind of indentations. So you're not pressing on the bones. Good. Nice. Again, going about 3 times. Excellent. And then turn the head to the side, and you can trace the side of the neck, kind of going up, and then finding right below the nostril here. So it's easy to poke it with the little finger. It's smaller, and it could go right into that point. Good. And you just kind of press inside and breathe. Yeah, if you sometimes feel stuck with your breath. And the lung meridian, I find it very helpful these days, especially with the pandemic, right? It's very much related to our respiratory system. So to keep that kind of meridian balanced. Good, so let go. And again, take a moment just to sit and breathe and notice how you feel. Good. So let's move on. And I want to show you some points on the face. It's easy to press on our face, and we hold on actually a lot of tension in our face that we're not always aware of. So I'm going to do a little bit. So we have these 2 points on the outside of the nostrils, and you can press them together. That's really great if you feel short of breath, if you feel a little bit like you're getting a cold or some sinuses. Good. And then we're going to go right under the eye bones. If you imagine your pupils and you go just down and you press, kind of like if you would be the sad clown and you would draw the tear right here. Yeah. So that's part of the stomach meridian. And that relates to digestion. It relates to our sense of grounding as well. Good. And then we're going to go out and just reach the tip of the eye a little bit to the outside, and you'll feel again your finger kind of sinking in, and you find it on the other side. Yeah, so just like if you would continue the eyeliner, right, on your makeup, and then kind of pressing in there. Good. Oh, I feel that a little tender today for me. So that's part of the gallbladder meridian. The gallbladder meridian has to do a lot. It had to do with the wood element. So it has to do with our sense of growth and planning and kind of seeing into the future. So the eyes are the sense of the gallbladder. Good. And then we're just gonna go to the outside of the ear. Or not the outside, just at the earlobe. No, earlobe is here, just at the entrance to the ear. I don't know how to call it. And then we're gonna press here. So you can open your mouth and you'll feel the bones, they're moving. So just right as where your finger will just kind of sink in between those bones. Right, nice. That's part of the small intestine meridian. Nice, good. All right, and then we're gonna go right to the inner border of the eyebrows and just under. So kind of like if you would hook your fingers under your eyebrows and kind of press there. Good. And we're actually going to continue with that action and with the fingers trace over the head and over the hairline. And that relates to our bladder meridian. And the bladder meridian has a lot to do with stress, right? When we're stressed, we need to pee, we need to use our bladder. It relates to sleep. It relates to our nervous system. So you can do it a few times and going around. Good. And then it goes right down the neck on either side of the spine. So we're not pressing directly on the vertebrae or on the spine. And then, yeah, I think you can see me. Just at the point of the occiput ridge where your head kind of falls, right, at the attachment to the neck. So if you move the head back and forth and you let your thumbs just kind of catch your head, and you'll feel again this feeling of the fingers kind of sinking in. That's a really nice point on the bladder meridian. And that also is a point that should help with headaches, as well as helping us sleep better. If you're having a hard time sleeping, kind of pressing into this point should help you relax into a better sleep. Yeah, so you can also just move the head a little bit and reach your thumbs into that point. Good. And then see if you can walk your fingers a little bit down to the base of the neck as much as you can reach. So it's hard to really work on our back on our own. So we're not going to do that. But another good point for stress is right at the top of the shoulder. And I think if I sit backwards, I can show it better. So if you think about the tip of the shoulder and the base of the neck, this muscle, the big muscle, is the trapezius muscle. So you go right to that center between those 2 points, and then a little bit to the back. So you can actually take the arm over this way and reach behind you here and give this a little presses. And this is a point that we get very stressed from sitting a lot on the computer like this or with our phones. So kind of dropping the weight into this point on the back also releases a lot of tension. Good. And then take the other hand and find that point on the other side. Good. So again, from the base of the neck and the tip of the shoulder, and we go back and give it a little bit of a poke. Kind of dropping the weight helps relax the shoulders and find a little bit more movement and space for the neck. Good. So releasing from that, and just take a moment again. Let's just close our eyes and take a breath and notice what have changed. And maybe whatever thought came to your mind before, you can notice, how does it feel now? Or maybe that thought is not surfacing anymore, or maybe something else is coming up. And just taking a deep breath in and exhale out. Good. And then let's open the eyes. Good. And let's just do a little bit on the legs. So change the camera a little bit. Always adjusting on Zoom, right? Yes. So if you're sitting on a chair, you can sit at the tip of the chair. If you're laying down, you can also do it on the legs. And we're just going to give a little bit of kind of, not hitting, but kind of palpating the side of the leg. And then at the top, so the legs are much, are bigger, stronger than our arms. We can do just a little bit more, add a little bit more force, and then also into the inner legs. Good. So the stomach meridian is on the side of the leg, just by where our thigh muscle is, our quad. So we can use the palms here to add a little bit more pressure and kind of pressing on the right at the top of the outside of the leg. Good. And stomach meridian really relates to the sense of grounding, feeling the earth, feeling connected, feeling grounded, right? When we're hungry, we're really agitated. When we had a good meal, when we eat well, we feel relaxed, we feel grounded, we feel connected. So that's very important. It really relates to our nourishment, to eating healthy. And then the meridian continues on the side of the shin. So if you can take your thumbs and press down, you can also bring the leg towards you and kind of press. So if our shin bone is here, it's right on the outside, and we kind of give a little bit of pressure down. Good. And you can also do it like this, or bringing the leg towards you and using the forefingers and a little bit of pressure going down the lower leg. Nice. Good. And a little bit like how we did the shaking with the arms, see if you can, if you're seated, if you just can grab the leg and give it a little hold, and then just a little bit of shake and a little bit of movement in the lower leg, and feeling a little bit of movement in your hip socket. Again, it could be very subtle, but again, that movement, that little bit of shaking also promotes the flow of energy, the movement. So if there's any feeling, a little bit of feeling stuck, good. And then bring it down and taking the other leg. And again, giving it a shake, a little bit of rotation in the hip. Good. And bring it down. If you can, bring the leg to cross, and we will reach just to the inside of the calf. So we have the two calf muscles here, and you're kind of reaching in between. And as I rest the leg here, I can press to the inside like this with my thumb. That is the continuation of the bladder meridian. The bladder meridian goes all the way down the legs. Good. And then you can see my foot here. I'll give you a little close up. This is a really good point right at the center. So you have the ball of the foot, and just below it at the center. So it's not at the center of the foot, it's just above. And this is a really good point for general energy. Like if you feel a little bit low on energy, kind of pressing into this point, supposed to kind of promote again the flow of energy and kind of giving us a little bit like a awakening feeling. Good. And then let's just do the other leg. So you're going to take the other leg, if you did the left or the right, and try finding the center point, meridian between the calves, and just giving a little squeeze. Good. And then going to the ball of the foot, and just at the center, and pressing here. I'm just lifting it so you can see. Of course, you don't have to do that. However, you can reach and see your foot is good. Nice. And we're gonna go, we're gonna do one more point, and this is a really great point, and it's on the palm, and it's right at the center of the palm. So right in the middle of the palm. And this is a point that is related to anxiety, and it's good to press. I mean, now I feel like we can press it all day long with just here listening to the news, but it's a good press to kind of just, again, give us a general sense of calmness if we feel a little anxious. I recommend people to, like, oh, if you have a big job interview or something you're nervous about, it's good to press that just before, and then take it to the other palm. Yeah. Good. So after this one, take another moment to come back to sitting comfortably. If you were coming forward so you can touch the legs, you can come back and lean And, or if you're laying down, and take a moment again, closing your eyes, and see how you feel in comparison to when we started half an hour ago, how this touch, how this movement have hopefully created a sense of more open, more relaxed. Maybe you can feel that you can breathe more freely or deeply. Good. And slowly open your eyes. So this is just a little bit of offering, and you know, you can do something like similar to yourself, and you don't have to. You know, I showed you where the lung meridian is, but you don't need to specifically know or feel like, oh, is this right or is this not right? Because all the meridians, you know, this is something, of course, I learned over 3 years. The meridians, there's 3 on the inner arm, 3 on the outer arms, and the meridians all affect each other and all complement each other. So it's already good if you're already, you know, pressing and touching somewhere, and maybe it's not specifically that meridian, but it's a different meridian, but the effect of releasing a little bit of trapped energy and promoting movement is still effective wherever you press. So you can also just follow your intuition in terms of kind of tracing your arms, something on the inner arm, a little bit on the outer arm, a little bit of shaking, right? So all the movement is originating in our joints. So the joints are the points of where energy enters our body. So just kind of, you know, rotating and opening movement through joints is also a good thing to just explore on your own. And I'll just finish here with showing you, just because it's nice so these are all the meridians, the meridian charts. It's very easy also, if you're curious, to Google that and you can see it better than through me holding this. But it's a very complex and really interesting system, and it's really beautiful to discover. For me, the discovery of how you know, you can do more specific treatments to help specific issues, but also just in general, a little bit of treatment really promotes that sense of feeling more balanced or feeling more relaxed, which is definitely important these days. Definitely important if struggling and fighting cancer and other diseases. So I hope this is helpful, and I'm happy to hear some comments or questions or thoughts.
First of all, it was extremely helpful. It was strange. As I was doing some of the touching, I actually felt like the vibration or like electricity going down my arms. That
Oh,
was
wow.
kind of a weird sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is weird because, you know, we're not touching anybody else. We're keeping our distance. So all of a sudden it's like reconnecting you with your body. At least for me, it was really good. A good
Great.
feeling that of re-energizing and movement.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Anybody else feels comfortable sharing?
I had a quick question.
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
you sort of addressed it when you said, you know, experiment, but if we aren't finding the right spots, it's not like we're doing anything harmful, are we?
Right. No, you really can't do wrong. You know, this is why, I mean, in acupuncture, they use needles for the same points, and we are not doing that. So yeah, if you would put the needle in the wrong point, yes. But since you are touching, you know, the sensation of the touch is already awakening and promoting the flow of energy. So, you know, feeling, if you feel that you're pressing somewhere and it feels good, then it probably is good for you. You can't do something wrong to your body. And the same, if you would poke a point and you're like, oh no, that feels uncomfortable, then you know that it's not comfortable for you. So yeah, it can only be helpful. And you know, not that it could be harmful, but it could be, like, I would say, don't do something, don't overdo it. You know, if you do something a little bit, and then you can do it the next day, but you don't want to do too much of it. So that's why usually we kind of go 3 times, and then we feel the flow of energy, and we just kind of let that settle in. And then just one more thought, because I was talking about the two ways, the 2 qualities of imbalances, right? So there's the quality of feeling really tired or depleted. So, you know, when you are tired, you want to awaken the energy, right? You want to bring more energy. So you think, like, if somebody is very tired, you don't want to tell them, hey, let's go dancing, you know, but what they need is comfort. So if we feel that our energy is low, so usually slower touch, comforting touch is what brings the energy up. So you can think, like, if somebody's really depressed, what they need the most is like a really long hug to hold them, you know, and that brings the energy back up, and that makes them feel like, oh yeah, I feel better. And the opposite, if somebody is very energetic, or somebody's very hyper, or somebody got really heated up, oh, I'm really upset, and so you need to release that energy, right? So for that to calm the person down from the high, to bring the energy down, we do want to do faster movement, right? So you can do quicker movement. Like, if you feel, oh, my energy is really up, if you do quicker movement, right? If you think about a screaming baby, right? What do we do to a screaming baby? We rock, right? We rock the cradle until they calm down. So this kind of shaking, or, you know, that kind of movement, or going a little faster, is a good way to bring the energy down. So you can also kind of have a little bit of a sense of like, oh, I'm really tired. I'll just, you know, put my hand here, and that will feel really good. Or you can say, I can't sit still. My thoughts are all over the place. And then I'll just tap a little bit, and then that will get me tired and grounded, and eventually bring the energy down. So those are 2 ways to kind of deal with those qualities.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions, thoughts? If no, then I'll thank you again, Ori, and I'll wish everybody a great weekend. And just a quick update, in our next Zoom will be in 2 weeks, and then we're going to have Dr. Lenny, who's the former deputy of medical director of the American Cancer Society. So he will join us to talk about innovation and trends in cancer care, and the impact of COVID-19 on cancer care, and will be available to advise and give you guys and answer any question that you might have. Extremely knowledgeable man. He's been in the American Cancer Society for over 30 years, and a caring and loving one. So he's agreed to join us and really to address any concern, question, thought, and just help us better understand the status of this fight against our disease. So I hope you can all join me, and tell your friends in your communities to join us Friday in 2 weeks, same time, same place. We will, of course, send everybody emails about it. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay healthy.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everyone.
and wishing you all
Ori.
health, and that we get through this time. And feel free, if you have